You are now listening to Rings Kings Boxing World.
You're now rocking with Ring Kings Boxing on the PRO Media Network. What's happening, fam? I'm Big Q chiming in on this episode. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and make Rings Kings Boxing one of your favorite boxing shows. This one called the WBA connected to receiving payments for rankings. Another scandal in the WBA going down. Let's get it covered. And before I even get started, shout out to Dante's Boxing Nation. He covered this, did a really fantastic job of it. Very few commentators even talk about the corruption of what's happening in boxing. And then we all know the evil history of boxing is tied to mafia groups, and it's a lot of corruption involved. So yeah, this is really awful news, and ESPN and a lot of the top people are not touching this topic. ESPN is really trash for not covering this. But anyway, this from the boxingscene.com. Give them credit because they did cover it. Court public documents show third-party lobbyists receiving payments for rankings connected to the WBA. So, and I've often said over and over that the ranking system in most of these boxing organizations are totally stupid. Guys that are ranked outside of the top five. Sometimes you see them leapfrog guys in the top five. It's stupid. I've often been a pusher or a person that wanted more of a tournament style of situation that happened in some of these boxing organizations. But the WBA once again exposes the fact that they are corrupt, and it continues to go. So let's get into this article right here by Sean Nam, reporting the scoop on this January the 14th of 21. The boxing promoter, who's Greg Cohen, set for a disposition in an investment fraud lawsuit brought to him by a former employee. Now, the plaintiff, a boxing fan named Clifford Mass, stated in a complaint filed in the U.S. District Court for Southern District of New York that he had sunk $250,000 into Cohen's pockets on the agreement that he would receive future points on an event-by-event basis and salary, neither of which Mass claimed ever materialized. Now, Mass in short wanted his money back plus interest. Now, the hours-long grilling session held via Zoom was an attempt to trace a portrait of Cohen's business practices in the sport, primarily through the eponymous promotional company, Greg Cohen Promotions. Now, heavyweight contender Jarrell Big Baby Miller and middleweight Rob Brant and former junior middleweight titleist Austin Trout are a few of the notable names that have fought under his promotions company. Now, midway through the 200-page deposition that Cohen has been the focus of several lawsuits in recent years and is queried by the plaintiff's attorney on his relationship with this LLC called Sports Consulting Services. Now, the attorney, referencing something like a profit loss statement generated by Cohen's employees, was curious about a payment of $17,000 that the company made in a relation to a heavyweight bout between Cohen's charge Miller and Dino, a Bogdan Dino, that took place between November the 17th at the Kansas City Star Arena in Kansas. Now, on the undercard of a welterweight main event, including Rios and Raman Alvarez, the attorney presumably was intrigued by the expenditure since his client allegedly never saw a dime from Cohen. So the questions begin. The plaintiff attorney asks, what is the consultant services? And then, of course, Cohen said it's an international company that works very closely with sanctioned bodies. What does it do? They advocate on the lobbyists on behalf of various boxers and promoters and managers. The question was then asked to them, as you can follow, what did they do? He says, at this point, his PA says, I'm not really understanding what they do. At this point, Cohen offers an explanation of boxing long-standing yet oblique sanctioning bodies, entities that purport to offer structure and credibility to an industry that at its core is fundamentally decentralized. Now, Cohen states that he relies on advocates or lobbyists such as the sports consulting services in order to obtain from the sanctioning bodies high rankings for their fighters. So pretty much in the statement, and Cohen explaining what they're doing, he's basically telling them that they're paying for rankings to get these guys ranks in these boxing rankings in the WBA, which gives them an opportunity to fight for higher stakes fights and get them closer to title fights. So which is what you're not supposed to do. So GC says they're in boxing He says it's not like other sports where if you win the NFC championship, you go to the Super Bowl. Boxing is not done on a ranking system that's arbitrary, and the various organizations have their rankings. You have to be in the world rankings top 15 to be eligible to fight for a world title. If you can get to the point where you move in and you're designated the mandatory challenger, you fight for the world title as a mandatory challenger, which is far better than fighting as an elective. It's just a very important component to boxing world today. It's how you fighters get rated, and if you get your fight to a mandatory position. So who owns this consultant service? Who's the owner? Yeah, if you know, says that the attorney asked. He said, I don't know who the ownership structure. I don't know the ownership structure of the company. So you doing business with him and you don't know the ownership, which is some BS. But he's a terrible liar. And then the court documents literally go into it. As you can see, public findings and court documents obtained by BoxingScene.com have shed light on the Florida Incorporated Sports Consultant Services. The documents indicate that the SCS is controlled or managed by individuals under the direct employ or closely associated with the WBA. That's the World Boxing Association. Now, the sanctioning body led by Gilberto Mendoza Jr. and the findings would seem to contradict or undermine Cohen's claim that the SCS is a separate entity from the WBA. Now, one individual listed as the current officer of the SCS is Zalubi Cuba, who then identifies herself on LinkedIn as a social media manager for the WBA. And on her Instagram profile, Cuba prominently lists the WBA handle. So it's a direct connection. Now, the other is Alfredo Mendoza, who's the son of Gilberto, who was initially listed as an authorized person for the LLC when it was first registered back in 2018, but whose name has been removed. Now, Alfredo Mendoza has seemingly represented his father and the WBA, at times matters directly connected to boxing business. For example, in January, the Cuban welterweight posted a picture on his Twitter account showing him dining with Alfredo Mendoza at a restaurant in Panama where the WBA headquarters are located. We don't speak a word about what happened with his father, Ugas wrote, referencing a patchy period that he had with the WBA regarding his championship status. It's time to move on, and I feel like a proud WBA champion again. So outside of that, as you keep moving down, it just keeps moving. It keeps just sliding down. The apparent involvement of two WBA employees with the entity that promotes claims was distinct from the WBA raises numerous ethical red flags. Above all, it suggests that the appearance of a bribery and practice, admittedly as time honored in the sport, as the 10-bell salute. Now, neither Cohen nor Mendoza responded to the emails. Of course they would. The SCS appears to be more than just a one-time clearinghouse for Cohen and WBA. That's where they take their alleged bribes from. A recent amended lawsuit filed by German heavyweight Mahmoud Char against veteran promoter Don King urges that the SCS has also been used as a third-party receptacle for payments from King to the WBA since the 2015. Now, Manuel Char was stripped of his regular WBA title by the organization back in 21 and was replaced by Trevor Bryan, King's fighter. Now, lawyers from Char have been trying to make the case that King influenced the WBA through illicit means, and that Mendoza, furthermore, has had the history of requesting bribes and with promoters in order to get their fighters advantageous rankings. See, that just goes to show you the trash WBA, but a lot of these people operate this way. And I won't go into the entire thing, but it just clearly documents in investigations how the WBA using the SCS, and it talks about Cohen's enrollment, how they were able to take and pay monies, and it even mentioned sums of monies in a disposition that he was admitted to paying over $17,000 to the SCS for the Miller and Dinu heavyweight bout that took place in November the 17th of 2018. And it mentions several other things. So the WBA is caught red-handed with its hand in the cookie jar once again of using weird organizations on the side that they create to funnel money in so that they can accept monies for bribes. And also speaks about in other cases about Bob Arum using the WBA as well, sending them cake to hoist his fighters or to move past guys that's supposed to be there and all this kind of stuff. And it just goes to show you now, ESPN and a lot of the big in the old old outdated legacy press refuses to touch this story and expose the corrupt ties that bind with the WBA. They're just an illicit, corrupt organization, no doubt about it. There's too many things that I've been hearing and reading about the WBA that they have done over the years that was really suspect, and hopefully some serious organizations, some serious people are investigating them, and hopefully can bring charges on these people to clean the sport of boxing up, man. Too much foolishness is going on with these organizations. It's ridiculous. With that being said, I'm gonna top out on that. Y'all tell me what y'all think about the WBA and its its alleged dealings and using side organizations to funnel money to its people so that they can move fighters ahead or beyond other fighters where they're not supposed to be. So y'all put in the comment section, let me know how y'all feel about that as we get ready to bounce out. So with that being said, please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and make Ring Kings Boxing one of your favorite boxing podcasts. I'm out. Peace.
Subscribe now and make Ring Kings Boxing your source for all the latest fight news.